Welcome to the Driveway Beers podcast with Mike and Alex. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the show. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share on any platform that you're listening on. All right, welcome back to another show. We're going to hit on a few topics today, but first I want to thank our sponsor, Cheers and Spirits, in the Arnold Station Plaza in Arnold, Maryland. We're going to be testing out a new bourbon, and I'll get into the reason why we're choosing this one for this show. But I picked it up at Cheers and Spirits, and the guy that was there was super helpful, because at first I couldn't find it. Of course, I'm blind. I'm half blind. I wear some thick glasses. I couldn't find it, so he's like guiding me by the hand like I'm an old woman. Like, no, it's over here. Come on, come look.
Like, you can't see with those glasses?
Yeah, I know.
Like, you can be able to see through the wall with those glasses.
So he helped me find the one we're going to try today, and was quite polite. Rather than he could have called me a dummy, because it was literally eye level, but he didn't. He was super nice, as they always are when we go in there.
Well, and I've dealt with, and I'm not sure if it was the same guy, but going over there and like I'm just getting into this bourbon thing. So, we talk. Sometimes you deal with it's almost like comic book guy at the bourbon nerd. Like, oh, what do you mean, you fool? You don't know the difference between a rye and a whiskey. Like, okay, dude. But no, super helpful, nice. And when I told him what I was doing, he's like, yeah, well, let me know what it's how it is when you come back. And so definitely not like some of the other experiences you've had when it's like, oh, you're trying that.
Right. No, definitely not. The other good part of it was I needed a couple of them. And they didn't have one that I wanted, but I politely said, hey, you guys plan on getting some more whiskeys and bourbons in. He goes, we're trying, man. We're going to get a few more in here. And so it wasn't like he took offense to me saying like, hey, you don't have the selection I want, but yeah. They had a nice selection there. There were just a couple in there that I wanted, and they said they're gonna work with the distributor and get some more in there. So if you head in there and they don't have what you want, just go ahead and ask them, and they'll try and get it for you. So that was another thing I thought was really nice. Like, he wasn't like he didn't make it seem like I was offending the store. You know what I mean?
Right.
He was just like, oh, cool. He goes, which ones do you need? He wrote them down, and he's like. He goes, I'll talk to the distributor and we'll try and get them for you. Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's all you can ever ask, right? Yeah. So, the one we're going to try tonight, and before I mention it, as we know, I mention this a lot. I watched YouTube videos on whiskey and bourbon and whatnot. And so, in the last episode or two, we had talked about the prices, the different prices. And we had talked about, how we felt there's a lot of good bourbon in that $20 to $35 range. And wondering, like, what's the advantage to buying a $60 bottle, right? Or even that $50 to $75 range. There's bottles as high as $200 to $500 for a bottle of whiskey.
You can get Pappy Van Winkle, and it's like $17,000.
Yeah.
Not spending that out ever.
No, that's the thing. I'm never going to spend that much. The most expensive one I've got right now is this Basil Hayden Toast, and that's like, I think, $45.
Yeah.
And again, it was a gift, though. I didn't buy it for myself. Never will. Mm-hmm. So I watched a video. There was a video labeled the best bourbons under $25, and they did like a March Madness bracket type thing with 16. Mm-hmm. And I'll put a link to the video in the description. And so you could tell, like, some of the ones in the beginning weren't very good. And they're like, and these are like whiskey and bourbon. They're not snobs, but they're a little bit on the snobbish end. So like they were looking for nose feel and
I don't know what that is.
And the swishing and this and so it wasn't like these people didn't know what they were talking about. So I was like, okay, well, if they think these low cost bourbons and whiskeys are good, then I got to at least try them. Now, I will say this. They're on the higher proof, not higher on the proof end than we usually drink. Mm-hmm. Like, we always thought like that, that 80 to 85 proof is kind of like where we've been you've been in the drinking it neat category.
Yeah.
Not me, but I feel like those are fairly smooth. These couple of ones are in like that 100 proof area, like where the Knob Creek 9 was. Mm-hmm. But these are priced less expensive than the Knob Creek 9. And they ended up finishing higher than it. So I'm real interested to see how these taste. The one that won it all, and that's the one we're going to try tonight, is Wild Turkey 101. Now, when people hear Wild Turkey, they don't exactly think really good liquor, right?
No, I mean, I remember in college, like, you pick it up for almost a song. And me and my buddy were, I think it was the Redskins were playing the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. And now this is back in the early 2000s, so they were still the Redskins then. And we got tore up off the whole bottle.
Right.
But, like, we were just dumb college kids, like, drinking shots of it. So, yeah, that stuff is, I mean, maybe not quite our, what you think of as something hoity. You're not going to go find it at a bourbon bar.
No, but, and so this is not the first YouTube channel that said this is a good bourbon, though. Mm-hmm. Two others that kind of did the same thing. Like, I was looking for good, inexpensive whiskeys, and this one kept popping up. So it wasn't just one channel.
Yeah.
Now, that either means one of two things. Wild Turkey's starting to sponsor some of these channels, and maybe they're getting paid to say this. Or it's just a decent whiskey.
Yeah. And I'm not hating on those guys if they are. If anyone wants to pay us to say that their bourbon is good, I will do it.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I'll probably do it for just a free bottle.
What was the one that we couldn't stand? I can't remember which one. I initially said I wasn't a fan of Basil Hayden Toast, but if Basil Hayden rolled up with a nice check, I'd be like, that's the best whiskey I've ever had. I'd drink that all day. But yeah, no, you're right. If anyone's getting paid, good for them. Which, by the way, we'll get into people getting paid for other stuff in a little bit. The controversial part of the show, because this is definitely not controversial. Two guys sitting there drinking with some whiskey, and it was funny. Someone told me they listened to the show for this part of the show.
Really?
Yeah. They were like,
cheers.
Yeah. They were like, well, because they were talking about how, like, everyone else they listen to, it's all about fruit notes and this, that. I'm like, nah, ain't us. Like,
yeah, we're like
mouthfeel. It smells nice. I will say that.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I hate to talk about nose feel, it smells nice. It doesn't smell like it's going to burn a hole in my stomach.
Yeah. Well, this one that I brought would.
So you tried a new one.
Yeah, it's James E. Pepper 1776, and it's pretty hot. So I've been drinking it neat, and I tried drinking this neat, and I had to put ice in it, and then I had to let the ice melt a little bit before I could, because it was burning all the way down. So, it definitely wasn't my favorite. So, I mean, I don't hate it. Like, I would drink it if it was there, but I'll probably have other bottles before this one's gone.
Sorry, I'm interrupting. I guess I'm not interrupting. I took my time there to talk as I was choking down some water. So I tried the Wild Turkey, and I always say this: your first sip of the night is your worst. Mm-hmm. You basically got to shock your mouth to get ready for the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to judge it based on that one. But it does have a lot of flavor. And it's not bad flavor. Mm-hmm. It's definitely got more flavor than we're used to.
Yeah.
In my opinion. That's an interesting sip I just had there. I don't know if I like it or I don't. But again, though, I don't want to judge it on the first sip, because that's always a bad thing.
Yeah, let the water open it up a little bit.
Yeah,
from the ice.
I mean, part of me is like ready to go though. Like like the taste of that was really good. Like normally we're not, because we deal with the lower proof stuff. So I mean, one of the things I always say is we don't get a lot of taste out of it. Mm-hmm. Seems like watered down whiskey.
Yeah,
this is not watered down.
I can't remember that brand that I bought that felt super watered down.
I don't remember. I know. I do remember.
Redemption? Was it Redemption?
Possibly.
No, or Larceny. I think it was Larceny.
Larceny.
It seemed like it was almost too mellow. That one I drink just neat. Like
the benchmark number 8 is also a much. That's an 80 proof. That tasted a lot watered down. But that's supposed to be the Buffalo Trace imitator.
Yeah.
Although it's made by them, so maybe it's not really imitating too much. It's literally probably Buffalo Trace.
Right.
With water. And they just bottle it and call it something else.
It's like if you buy a detuned Corvette, it's still a Corvette, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to know why you detune a Corvette, but I guess there's some dope out there that would do it.
Someone will do it just to do it.
Yeah. Well, you also have those like different countries, like in Europe, like they'll tax engine cars are we tax vehicles based upon weight.
Yep.
Other countries do it on engine displacement or horsepower or things like that. So that could be a reason why you want to detune one.
That's like what U.S. cars in the early '80s. They detuned the crap out of those engines.
Well, because of all the smog restrictions just choked them off.
What was that? It was like V8s with 130 horsepower.
Yeah, like my old Camaro. Yeah. My first Camaro had 130 horsepower V8. So it got V8 gas mileage, but like weak 4-cylinder power.
I would love to drive one now, like from that era, just to see how like slow those cars were. So,
I was watching Hoovie's Garage.
Yeah,
and Hoovie bought a 1996 S600. So that was a 12-cylinder Mercedes-Benz. It was like the flagship, the biggest Benz you could get.
That's an enormous engine.
Yeah. And then the guy the car wizard had a XJ12.
Yeah.
So the Jaguar, like the big flagship sedan Jaguar with the 12. So those were the two 12-cylinder engines available.
Yeah.
And he drove the 12, and he said, this feels like a car. It's smooth. He said, we're not going anywhere in a hurry with this thing, but you're never at a lack for power. And he said, he said, now manufacturers, they all want to make their cars sports sedans. So they all ride like crap. Like, and I think that's part of the thing. Like, you go back, just the handling differences in some of the older cars. A friend of mine is building he's building a Camaro right now, like a 69. But he's doing an LS swap in it. He's upgrading all the suspension so it'll feel like a modern car, but look like a classic car.
Yeah.
Because when you drive those classic cars, like those things were built to ride on. I mean, they didn't have the suspension technology that we have. They had drum brakes in the rear.
Right.
They had the tires were 14-inch rims with big fat rubber on them. Like you could see the tire, like the car would lean over onto the sidewall of the tire. They didn't handle like even my Ford Fusion does that. Like you'd think that was a sports sedan compared to that.
Yeah, true.
So, but the Fusion also rides rough.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the best comparison right now for me is that Yukon.
Mm-hmm.
But we took it out tonight, and it sat for 4 days while we were out of town. It started right up,
mm-hmm.
and man, that thing drives nice.
Yeah.
It's so smooth.
Yep. And that's a truck. It's still a body-on-frame truck. So,
but we were driving down a road around us, Route 2, and it's not the smoothest road all the way through, but man, you would not know it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just gliding over that pavement.
But yeah, those cars, they so I think it would be fun to go back, and if I could get my hand, like drive a third-gen Camaro again, just to see how, I know it would feel, the body roll, everything would be different compared to even my Fusion, which is just a mid-size sedan.
Yeah, you're almost buying those for looks right now if you don't swap the engines out.
Yeah.
Now, I do wonder, could you retune those engines?
I don't know if it'd be worth it.
Really?
I mean, think about it. If you pulled a Chevy 305 out, and like, what's the point? All the work you do. I mean, go buy a 350 out of a Yukon, you know what I mean, or out of a Suburban,
sure,
and put it in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it'll be worth. Like mine was carbureted, so
yeah, you can't do much.
You know, no, I mean you can. You could put like dual carbs on there. You can do all kinds of stuff, but then at the point you're still doing it to a 305 block.
Right. Like
what's really the point? Like if you're going to put all that money, spend the extra $2,000, get a 350, and do it to that.
Yeah.
So
I do wonder. So, and we gotta get away from the cars for a little bit, but because once we get on cars, we don't get off. But I know everyone LS swapped stuff. So Chevy had the LS engine, which was the Corvette engine, but they had the LT engine, which is what they threw in everything else. Yep. It was the V8 they put in everything else. That engine can make over 300 horsepower if tuned right. Like that LT engine that's in my Yukon, it's a 6-liter LT, makes over 300 horsepower and over 300 pound-feet of torque. I feel like you could do really well with that.
Just that engine in my old Camaro would have been. See, and when I was in the cars, like if you had a dude that was rolling up with 300 horsepower, like that was. I mean, we're late 90s, early 2000s. Like people rolling up with 300 horsepower, like, oh man, that dude's 300 on the dyno or whatever. It's like, oh man, that's wild, that's crazy, dude. That's nothing. You got 6-cylinder sedans making 300 horsepower.
Yeah, I do wonder though. Like, so people pay decent money for an LS engine. LT engines are cheap. Mm-hmm. You could pull them out of like the Suburbans and the.
They put them in everything.
They put in everything.
Yeah,
you could pull them for dirt cheap, and put them in whatever you want. And it's, I mean, is it going to be super for performance? Probably not. But it also depends on what you mate to it for a transmission.
Yeah.
Like right now, the thing's made. I got a 4-speed transmission.
It was like a 460 LE or whatever.
Yeah, yes. Which isn't a great transmission. Yeah. But one of the reasons, like, if it blows, I can get a new transmission for under $1,000.
Yeah.
You pay someone $500, $1,500. I'll have a new transmission on that.
Yeah.
And the truck will just keep going because the engine's not going to blow.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised more people don't go after those because they're a lot more plentiful. They're a lot cheaper. And it's like, are you really losing that much horsepower?
Yeah, and that's 300 stock.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of work to it, and then what are you putting out?
I think you can get over 4.
Yeah.
And I think it'd probably be a little conservative.
Yeah.
Like with a computer tune and some engine mods that I wouldn't have a clue how to do.
Right.
But someone with the know-how could probably easily squeak out 450 on an LT engine.
Yeah. And then if you're doing that, you're probably going to put headers and exhaust on it, so you're going to get some more, just from doing that. So.
And like I said, they're super reliable.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, they put it in it's like Frank's Red Hot. They put that shit in everything.
Oh, yeah. And they put them in boats, like the 5.7 Merc Cruiser. That's what that is.
Yeah. Right.
Now those engines make a lot more power because cooling is not an issue in a marine engine.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no, it's just sucking water in and spitting it back out again.
Right.
So it's got to constantly, cooling is an enemy to horsepower. So if you eliminate cooling as an issue, where, and even if you're doing freshwater cool, it's still, the water can take heat a lot easier than air can. So, but yeah, they're just sucking water through it and spitting it out the other side. It's got an endless supply of coolant.
Right.
The ocean. So.
Moving on to things that are cool, which might not be cool for people anymore. And this is going to be, by the way, this is going to be the world's worst segue. I'm just letting you know that right now. One beer that you thought was completely uncool was Bud Light.
So we all know my feelings on Bud Light prior to everything that's broken about Bud Light.
You can go back a year in the past when we did our beer, any beer episode that we've done. You've always brought this up.
Yeah. I hate Bud Light. I hate Bud Light so much that I don't like people who like Bud Light. If you like Bud Light, you're sus. Right, as the kids would say. Right off the break, you got to prove it to me that you're decent. I'll never have it in my house. Someone can bring it, and it'll sit there. I don't care how desperate I am. Nope, not drinking it. It's piss water. It's awful. Yeah, can't stand it. So, I'm sure I've told the story where we weren't married then, but it was my wife and I went to a party with my friends. You know, my friends were having the party. I was going to drink, and they had a Bud Light keg, and I said, "I'll drive." So that's how much I hate it.
So, and for anyone who has heard our worst beer episode, we love Busch Light.
Yeah,
the Busch lattes.
Yeah,
and they're in the same Anheuser-Busch umbrella that we're about to go get in on.
Yeah.
So, for people that don't know, there is a gentleman/lady, and I'll explain to you why I said gentleman, who has been sponsored by Bud Light. So Dylan Mulvaney is. I'll start by saying what they believe they are. Dylan Mulvaney is a transgendered female, meaning she was a male and has decided to become female. And I'll explain why I'm conflicted as to what to call her. Because under normal circumstances, anyone who is transgender, I will call them by their proper pronouns, whatever they would like to be called. That's what I will call them. Mm-hmm. I believe people should live how they want to live, and I will use the pronouns that they prefer every time, unless it's a slip up. But that's no excuse. And I will always try to make the attempt. And that way of life is that way of life for them. That's the way they choose it. I'm not anti-transgender in any sense of the word. I don't believe Dylan Mulvaney is a transgender female. I believe he is an actor.
Okay.
The reason why I say this is because I'm trying to choose my words a little carefully here. He acts like a caricature of what a teenage woman in the 1950s would be. Not as a current day female. Mm-hmm. At least that I've encountered. And that's why I hold the opinion that I think he is acting for profit in this sense, because this person is now sponsored by Nike Women brand, mm-hmm. Bud Light, Ole Henriksen, the Plaza Hotel, MAC, which is makeup,
yep.
Ulta Beauty, makeup, mm-hmm. Tampax, Crest, Kate Spade, which is directed completely at women, OkCupid, Svedka Vodka, Urban Decay, Walmart, Mugler, Rent the Runway, which is also directed completely at women, Aritzia, and Charlotte Tilbury, which again is directly and solely at women.
Yeah, I don't know what half that stuff is. I know what Tampax is.
Yes. You know what Ulta Beauty is makeup.
Yeah, there's
MAC is makeup.
Yeah.
Nike Women, though, is athleisure for women.
Yeah.
They have her advertising Nike sports bras.
Right.
For a transgender woman who has not had top surgery.
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute. And keep in mind, he has not had any surgeries, or she has not had any surgeries to transition any part of their body to be a woman. All right, now
especially so you wouldn't need to wear a Nike sports bra,
and you also wouldn't be using Tampax.
I don't care what kind of surgeries you have; you're not going to be using
Correct. Now, MAC and Ulta Beauty, sure. If you're aiming towards makeup on both sexes, sure, whatever. It is what it is. But Kate Spade doesn't make men's clothing. Mm-mm. But look, maybe they're getting into cross dressing. Maybe that's what. Maybe they just want to make their clothes available for everyone. I don't know. My point is this: he seems to have found a very profitable niche right now for him or for her to make a lot of money with this act. And again, I call it an act because if you ever watch his video or her videos, I keep messing that up. If you watch her videos, they're so over the top in how she acts as a woman. Now, I've met a couple of transgendered people. Mm-hmm. They don't act over the top, and I know that's going to sound crazy because there's drag queens and everything else, and yet they might act over the top when they're doing their act on stage as a drag queen. Mm-hmm. But generally, and again, I don't have a lot of experience in this. Like, don't get me wrong. Not like my best friend's transgender. You know what I'm saying? But the ones that I've come across via my uncle, who before he died was a gay man, mm-hmm. had some transgender friends. They were not. It didn't seem like an act to me with them. It seemed that's who they were.
Yeah.
It seemed more natural for them to act that way, mm-hmm. and dress that way.
It's like
that. You know.
Do you remember Amy Schneider on Jeopardy?
I don't.
Okay, so Amy Schneider last year, transgender female, I think either beat Ken Jennings for the record as highest winnings or is definitely the highest ranked woman.
Okay.
And when Amy Schneider was up there as a contestant on Jeopardy, just looked like a middle-aged woman up there. You know, maybe typical middle-aged female Jeopardy contestant.
Sure.
Is what she looked like. It was not an over-the-top act. It wasn't like a try-hard thing. It was naturally who she is. And I remember the kids because, like, you know, they were, well, is that a woman? But it's not a woman. It's a man. I said, no, she's a woman. Like, and I'm not going to, you know, get too into it, but with at the time a 7 and 4-year-old, because my oldest didn't care. He was probably in the backyard throwing a football. But with the little, I wasn't going to get too deep into it. I said, look, she is a woman, and if you're ever around someone who, you know, you will address them how they want to be addressed because we're kind and we're polite, and that's what they are. But it wasn't like this act.
Right.
You know, and the corporations with Dylan Mulvaney, it's like their giant virtue signal continues. And Dylan Mulvaney's just cashing in on it. On all this guilt that these corporations have for what reason? But the thing is, whenever the corporations do it, like I don't know why all of a sudden like the left used to like corporate America was the devil, mm-hmm. and now it's like they're celebrated too because they're checking off the boxes just like. But if their support for Dylan Mulvaney is just to look cool, it's like the most disingenuous people in the on earth are doing this.
Right.
Executives, ad executives, Hollywood executives, like these people have no scruples. They're just doing it because it's going to position them in the market a certain way.
Yeah. Now, it was funny though because on the other side of things, you've got Caitlyn Jenner, mm-hmm. and I don't know if you remember when Caitlyn Jenner first came out. She was on the cover of Wheaties, and all the conservatives were up in arms about that too. Mm-hmm. But since then, and I think it was more of It was more like, it's an act. I can't. They're not really transgender. So they're trying to be relevant. Well, she's kind of blown that out of the water at this point. If it's an act, it's the longest running act I've ever seen at this point. But she came out today. It was either today or yesterday, and just blasted Nike for sponsoring Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah,
saying how it was a travesty, because Caitlyn Jenner was basically like, that's not what, like, he's an act. Like, you're trying to celebrate womanhood by sponsoring a man acting as a woman, not as a transgender woman. Like, basically, Caitlyn Jenner was saying there's a difference between a man acting like a woman and a transgender woman. Mm-hmm. There's a difference.
Yeah.
And, I mean, for example, like in the conservative sphere, Blair White is a very well-known conservative transgender woman. Caitlyn Jenner, also a conservative transgender woman. No one's giving contracts out to Blair White.
No.
And Blair White looks a heck of a lot like a woman. Like, for people that don't know, just go look for some images.
I'm going to do it right now.
Like, Blair White...
Because I think she's on Rogan a lot, Blair White.
She's on Rogan. She's been on Tim Pool's show. Been on Andrew Schultz's show. But they went through all the surgeries and the hormone. Like, they went through everything. And if you were to see Blair White and you didn't know who she was, you would think, oh, it's just Blair White. That's a woman.
An attractive woman.
Right.
Like, I mean, no, I just pulled up the Google image search, and I'm like, oh, okay.
And Blair White is... Well, Blair White and Caitlyn Jenner both have been very outspoken about two topics. One, that Dylan Mulvaney's an actor. Mm-hmm. Because before, I'd say a year and a half ago, no one knew about Dylan Mulvaney.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, they came out for this, the celebration of 365 days of womanhood.
Yeah. Was he the one, like, day one of being a girl?
Yes.
And,
yes.
It's TikTok. I don't do TikTok.
Neither do I. But some of the videos make their way onto the other platforms.
Yeah.
And, like, they did one video where, like, oh, look, I'm a woman in high heels going hiking. And everyone's like, what woman wears high heels and goes hiking? I mean, that's a caricature of a woman.
Yeah.
That's not a woman.
Right.
No woman does that. Like, you're not...
I know lots of women that do... that participate in activities like that and work out. And my wife has never worn... Well, she doesn't wear high heels anyway, but... has never worn any type of shoes like that to exercise in.
No, if a woman goes hiking, she wears hiking boots.
Yeah.
Or hiking shoes, or hiking sneakers. They don't wear high heels to go hiking in the woods. I'm not talking like hiking up a asphalt trail.
Yeah.
Which no woman would wear high heels for that either. It's like, this is a caricature of a woman. Mm-hmm. This is not him being a woman. And that's where I think the problem kind of starts to lie. It's like, look, this person is being used to push an agenda on people now. Whereas, I think if Bud Light would have sponsored Blair White, nobody would have said boo. Mm-hmm. Because Blair White, I don't want to say acts like a woman. Blair White's a woman. Mm-hmm. For all intents and purposes, Blair White's a woman. I might not be able to have a baby or have periods.
Yeah, but there are plenty of actual females that can't have... I should say actual females. There are plenty biological females that can't have children either.
Right. I mean, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of what is a woman.
Yeah.
Matt Walsh already went down that road, and the answer is still not there, right? But if you're gonna be a woman, You gotta. I mean, in my opinion, you gotta do a little more and slap some rouge on, and act like a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah,
because that's all they've done. Mm-hmm. And everyone on the left is like celebrating it and shoving it down everyone's throat, saying, "Oh, this is real. This has happened. This is exactly it." Meanwhile, you've got actual transgender women who are living this life day to day, and not making a mockery of being a woman.
Yeah.
Because they're not there to make a mockery. They're not there to act. They're not there to, that's how they live. Yeah. And that's what I think people on the conservative side, don't get me wrong, you got your I don't want to make it sound bad, the Bible preachers.
Bible beaters?
Yes. There you go. Okay. You're never going to appeal to some people. I mean, it's that you're never going to appeal 100% of the time to 100% of the people. Never going to happen.
Yeah.
So some people on the conservative side are never going to get down with this. But you've got the majority of the conservative side, which now includes a lot of Democrats that walked away.
Yeah.
And there was a movement called Walk Away, for crying out loud. Mm-hmm. Which was very similar to when the Tea Party came about in 2008. And a lot of people walked away from the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. We're just swinging in the other direction. We've said that a numerous amount of times. This does not help the transgender cause by having Dylan Mulvaney be the face, the voice, whatever you want to call it, of transgenderism.
Yeah.
But she's proven it's very lucrative.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what, 20 companies?
Yeah.
Sponsoring them? And it's probably not over yet.
And I've never, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about it. I'm not going to pretend to have the experience of, to walk a mile in someone's shoes, but I would imagine that most transgender males and females just want to be seen and appreciated as how they express themselves and feel. And other than that, pretty much just want to be left alone and live a normal life.
Bingo.
They're not out there acting like a fool, drawing attention to themselves. And that's why I brought up Amy Schneider, because Amy Schneider, she just was on Jeopardy killing it.
Yep.
And, I mean, people said, yeah, she's the first woman to win, and then, oh, well, she's transgender woman. There's a whole bunch of firsts in there. But regardless, like, she spoke of her and her, I think it was her husband, and they just, if you didn't know, because someone said, you'd be like, yeah, she looks a little masculine, but there are plenty of masculine, females who have masculine tendencies. But she was just doing her thing, living her life the way she wanted to live. And I imagine that's the way the majority of, they just want to be left alone and live how they feel most comfortable, and that's fine. I'm not judging anybody, but there's no caricature.
Right. And like, that's my biggest issue with the lady. It's like you're making a mockery of what being a woman is, in my opinion. Like, as someone who's lived with a woman for, I don't even know, 14 years now? However many years?
Yeah.
I think it's 14. Anyway, I've never seen her act like that. Mm-mm. No, don't get me wrong. That's just one woman, right? Maybe, I don't know. But
I'm pretty sure most of the women that I know would want to punch Dylan Mulvaney in the face.
Probably.
Just because, now maybe that's her on camera thing, the act, but I don't know a whole lot about this person prior to and after and during. Like, maybe Dylan Mulvaney gets off camera and just cracks a Bud Light open and smokes a cigarette and throws a dip in. I don't know.
Right.
But while the camera's on, getting paid. The other problem I have with Bud Light is everyone who I know drinks Bud Light. Does Bud Light know their customer base at all?
Yeah, no, not with that sponsorship. Wow, talk about a miscalculation.
Yeah, so Kid Rock is a Bud Light fan.
Yes.
And he got so angry, he went out and shot 30 packs with a shotgun.
Right.
So
he was a caricature of Kid Rock.
He was a caricature of your customer base. And if you were to ask anybody, Hey, now, say Truly had come out and done this. No one would say anything about it. Say they did Mick Ultra. No one would say anything about it. Say it was... I don't think Miller Lite probably could have got away with it. Coors Light, but Bud Light, it's like the redneck beer.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't Bud Heavy.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But still, no, you're right.
Like some IPA craft brew could have done it, and no one was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, But then again, maybe it's well worth it because people are actually talking about Bud Light now.
I mean, I'm boycotting Bud Light.
Well, you were boycotting them before.
Right, but because it's piss water and
Yeah.
tastes like garbage, and I hate it. It has nothing to do with... Now, had Miller Lite come out and had this thing with Dylan Mulvaney, and he's on a can of Miller Lite, I would still go grab an 18-pack of aluminum twist-offs. Like, I love them. So,
I think you'd have to give them... You got to go a month boycott, right? Just to say, hey, wait a minute. Now they put Blair White on a can... I'd say, yeah, now you go, you still buy it. You're okay. But not that caricature of a human being.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's like you're rewarding the caricature that the person's trying to resemble rather than a genuine example of a transgender woman.
Yeah.
Now, look. I know the rebuttal to that is, well, people act every day. What do you care about this actor? Because this actor is getting accolades and awards for being a transgender woman.
Like, I act every day like a civilized human being, mainly so I don't end up going to prison,
correct,
for killing somebody or getting fired. Like, that's why.
Right, yeah. It's like, if what you were trying to celebrate was transgender women, go find a transgender woman, not this caricature of one.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people, well, how do you know what a transgender woman is? And whatever? Look, I'm not blind. She's acting like she acts like a 1950s teenager, dresses that way. Like, and actually, if I were guessing, Dylan Mulvaney never meant to portray a transgender woman. It looks like he's trying to spoof what they call a trad wife.
Oh, yeah.
So trad wives, if people don't know what this is, are women that kind of dress in that old-timey kind of look, like the June Cleaver look. Mm-hmm. And these women are all over YouTube and Twitter and TikTok. Like, they make videos about being a so-called traditional wife.
It's a thing.
Yes.
Everything's a thing now.
It's actually a trad wife is what they call themselves. Yeah. Where they take care of the kids in the home and the husband goes to work. It's literally a 1950s family.
Yeah.
But that's what they advocate for. They believe in it. To me, that's what it's almost like he started to caricaturize that to kind of poke fun at those wives.
Right.
And it just kind of spilled itself into him being considered a transgender woman. And he just kind of ran with it because it made money.
Like, oh, the shtick's working.
Yeah, right. Because from what I understand, he's a failed actor before that.
And the thing is, I can't hate on her for it because it's like, if you're taking money from these dumb corporations, if they want to throw money at you, right, then you'd be a fool not to take it. So part I don't really want to hate on her for like, okay, like you're just someone dumb enough to write you a check. You'd be a fool not to take it.
Well, it's kind of like Tom Hanks and that guy. I can't think of the guy's name. Tom Hanks and another actor, Peter Coleri, maybe was his name. I don't know. But back in the 80s, they did a show called Bosom Buddies, where Tom Hanks dressed up and pretended to be a woman with Peter Coleri so they could live in this woman's apartment complex. They needed a place to live. And it was a women's only building, so they dressed up as women, and that's how they got an apartment. And whenever they went through the common areas of the building, they had to dress as women. Mm-hmm. And outside of that, they would go live their life as a normal man, whatever, come back home, dress like a woman. Okay. Tom Hanks and Peter Coleri dressed up as women to get paid. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But everyone knew they were acting. He's trying to portray it as truth. Mm-hmm. And getting White House visits because he's portraying it as truth.
Yeah.
Sponsorships from Nike, Walmart.
I was going to say, are there no other transgender people who have done anything more significant than him? Amy Schneider. Why isn't anyone giving Amy Schneider all kinds? Now, granted, she won a butt ton of money at Jeopardy, but why hasn't anyone? Did she go to the White House?
What? Well, why? And like, how come Hasbro doesn't put her on the cover of Trivial Pursuit?
Yeah,
I'm not sure if Hasbro owns.
Whoever does.
Though. Yeah, whoever owns Trivial Pursuit.
Parker Brothers, whoever the hell it is.
Yeah. Throw her on the
cover.
Throw a
girl a bone.
Yeah, give her $20 or a $20,000 sponsorship.
Yeah.
Throw her on the cover.
Yeah.
She's genuine.
Right.
As to who she is portraying herself to be.
Or even you got Rachel Levine.
Yes.
The number 2 at
HHS.
Yeah. Like, that's a pretty significant accomplishment to get to that level. Like, is anyone why aren't they because she doesn't
I don't think she can take sponsorship money.
Yeah.
Like she's got to leave government and then go get paid.
Then she can get paid.
Like all the others.
Yeah. Right.
Like, and not all the other transgender people, like all the other people.
Right.
Because they all leave government to get paid.
Right. Right. Like that piece of crap John Boehner.
Listen, man, that dude is a horrible lobbyist because weed is not legal across this great United States because they picked the wrong guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he couldn't do anything in Congress. What made you think he was going to convince Congress to legalize weed?
Right. Except smoke and get spray tans and cry.
Right.
But, like, yeah, like Rachel Levine is somebody who's ascended to pretty high ranks. And, I mean, holds the rank of admiral. Now it's different in HHS because, you know, like, it's not like she started as an ensign and worked her way up through the ranks to attain that rank. But it's still a pretty significant accomplishment.
Well, and then I think people had issues. Well, because they were like, "Oh, she's the highest-ranking woman." Like, no, hold on. She's the highest-ranking transgender woman. Let's say what it is, because if you call her the highest-ranking woman ever, now you're offending biological women.
Right.
Like, and that's a whole other topic. Like, we were talking about, Dylan being a caricature of women, of womanhood. We pretty much I think we've been pretty clear why we think that. It's nothing against transgender individuals. It's against him.
Right.
/ her.
Against that shtick.
Yeah.
The shtick that she's pulling.
Everyone's getting the wool pulled over by an actor.
Yeah.
Because that's what she is. I'm sorry. Because if it was truly about transgenderism, there are plenty of other transgender individuals out there who are more deserving of sponsorships, and if you were really going for that angle, there were others that you could have gone to. Bud Light could, it blows my mind that Bud Light didn't do a sponsorship with Blair White.
Yeah,
like you wouldn't have lost one customer.
No,
and
because a lot of dumb Bud Light drinkers were like, "Damn, who's that hot chick on the Bud Light can?"
that there's a dude. Well, I guess I gotta look at her on the cam while I drink it. right?
Yeah.
Like there would have been no backlash, but no, you picked the caricature instead.
Yeah. Now, supposedly that whole Bud Light thing, like, was like something they do. Like, it's just like a couple one-off 30 packs. It's not like you're gonna find them. But who knows? Maybe you will find them. But I don't think the average Bud Light buyer is gonna buy them.
You know what happened? If it's on cans, it's going to be inside the box. You're not going to know until you get home.
Yeah.
you get home, you open up the box. Who is this on my can of Bud Light?
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Like, by celebrating Dylan Mulvaney, are you celebrating transgenderism, or are you just celebrating an actor and their shtick? And that, I think that's the big the big takeaway.
And that was my whole reason for bringing it up. It really has nothing to do with the transgender issue. It's got everything to do with someone's getting duped by this dude to getting all these flowers thrown at him. And I don't hate him for it. Like you said, ma'am, get paid.
Yeah.
Right? Get all the money you can right now, because in a year, they're going to throw you to the trash. Mm-hmm. Because you will be of no more use.
Yeah.
Get your money now.
Yeah, like these football contracts. Get your money.
Yes. Get every cent you can from these billionaires.
Yeah.
I hold no grudge to that. But if someone... I mean, shoot, man. I hope... I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I hope that no one's, like, really falling for this. Like, she should not be the face of transgender women. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's just not real life. Who knows, man? Maybe I'm sheltered. Maybe a lot of women are like that. Maybe they're wearing.
I don't know any of them.
Either do I. Maybe I'm not cultured though.
I don't know. Now, the women I know are all my wife and family and all of her friends, and and my I don't happen to know anyone that acts like that.
Right. Yeah. I guess that's my point. It's like there's no woman out there acting like that. I mean, maybe like some teenage girls
or younger,
but then
like a 9-year-old.
Like, is that what you really like? She's a 30-year-old person.
Yeah.
Just maybe they're really that immature. I just don't understand the shtick, man.
Yeah.
And why it's celebrated. Right.
Yeah, when there are other transgender individuals that are maybe more worthy of, but why hasn't anyone come out from the transgender community, except for like Blair White and Caitlyn Jenner, and said like,
I think there's a few, I do think there's a few others.
It's almost like you can't call out one like Dylan Mulvaney, and they say, "Oh well, you're a transphobe and you're this." Like, no, it's that person who is incredibly annoying and not worthy of any of these accolades, when there are actual people who are other transgender individuals that are worthy of it.
Right. Like, imagine if Blair White got an invite to the White House instead of Dylan Mulvaney. Mm-hmm. I mean, that would celebrate transgenderism, in my opinion, a lot more than someone who's has been doing it for a year. But Dylan Mulvaney, give this dude credit, or female credit, whatever. Marketing genius.
Yeah.
And again, maybe that's why Bud Light sponsored her. Because we're talking about it. And like, if Blair White had gotten a Bud Light contract, you and I would still not be talking about Bud Light.
Right. Except how much I hate it.
Correct.
And my hatred for Bud Light is prior to. Just so we're clear.
Yes.
Go back through our catalog.
It is documented.
It's well documented.
Yes. So it's just... I hate the fact... I hate that they're trying to put... They're trying to legitimize... That's not the right word. They're trying to celebrate something with a caricature of it, rather than the genuine article.
Yeah.
In my opinion. There were a lot of other ways they could... You could have done it with Caitlyn Jenner. Have her go to the White House. She's already famous and rich, but I guarantee you, if it was instead of 300... when did Caitlyn Jenner come out? 4 or 5 years ago? 5 years of transgenderism?
Yeah.
Celebrate that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, or maybe it could have been another liberal transgender woman who was a genuine article, the real deal, like living that life.
Yeah.
Rather than the guy who's or the lady who's not a believable woman trying to live that life for clicks and likes. Mm-hmm. It's not genuine.
Yeah.
And I don't mean genuine as not a genuine woman. It's the person portraying that life is not living that life. At least it doesn't seem that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it just looks like a try-hard thing.
It really does.
You know?
I watched a couple of the videos, and it's like you cringe watching them.
Yeah.
Not because of the transgender part, because of the caricature part. Mm-hmm. Like that video I saw when he was hiking in high heels outside. Like, dude was wearing like a sports bra and like volleyball shorts with strappy high heels.
Yeah.
No woman goes hiking like that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Doesn't happen. I've never.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Women are wearing less and less out on like some of these places, but not like that.
Right.
With a full face of makeup on too, and then tripping over themselves. Like, oops, I fell over. Like it was almost like Mike Myers in Austin Powers. Mm-hmm. Oh look, I fell over. Oops, I fell over again.
Yeah.
Like it was literally like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just cringing like this isn't serious.
But you know the jokes like oh, I broke a nail, like that sort of stuff.
Yes.
Like where it's to show like the weak side of women. Or like Spaceballs when the princess has all her luggage and they're traipsing through the desert with the luggage, and I think she was wearing high heels in the desert.
Right.
Or like I broke a nail, or like it's that the old 1950s jokes at feminine weakness, you know, like
yes,
that's how like like the dad comes home like, oh, you silly girl, like
right,
like just the chauvinistic. It's almost like that's what's the act that's being portrayed here.
But at least those were in a movie or a TV show where you knew it was acting.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like this person's trying to portray it as their real life.
Yeah,
it's almost like, you remember the Blair Witch Project?
Mm-hmm.
Not to piggyback on Blair White's name, but the Blair Witch Project, people thought that was real for months.
Yeah,
when it was literally just it was a movie.
Oh, they went out. So that occurred out in. It was filmed out in like Western Frederick County.
Yep.
And or maybe it was even Washington County, the next county over, but it's that area of the state.
Yeah.
And like the police used to have to go just like camp out there where people thought it was. They'd be like, no, get out of here.
Right.
This isn't real. So, because all the knuckleheads were going out there and try to like resurrect the Blair Witch. It was all like, it was just crap.
Yeah. That's a good movie though.
Never saw it.
I don't like scary movies.
Neither do I.
So there's two movies that I watched that made it so I don't like scary movies anymore. That one. Mm-hmm. Like, it was a good movie, but it scared the pants out of me.
Yeah.
Right? And the movie Signs. That was an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Okay.
Had Mel Gibson in it.
Mm-hmm.
And partially, we've talked about this movie before, because it kind of has signs that's got to do with the aliens and stuff.
Yeah.
And they come down, like they're not the friendly aliens that we're used to seeing.
Right.
That scared the poop out of me too. So I pretty much blame those two movies for why I don't watch horror movies.
Yeah.
So, but people that have been hearing me blow my nose, by the way, because we've touched about everything we're going to touch in this episode. I do apologize for my nasally nose and my blowing my nose. The pollen bird has apparently pooped pollen all over the state of Maryland. And
anyone who has a black car knows.
Yes. Shoot, man, my white car looked yellow. My blue car was yellow. My tan car was yellow. Every car now is a shade of yellow. Although now it just rains, so hopefully it kind of washes some of it away. But my sinuses and pollen, and pretty much my sinuses and all of spring don't get along very well. So I'm probably going to sound like this for at least the next 3 or 4 episodes. So I'm sorry if I blew my nose in the microphone once or twice, or I sound ultra sexy for you ladies out there. I do apologize. I didn't mean to turn on the waterworks.
Yeah. That's why people listen to this show.
They do, yeah. Our 95% male audience listens to it to turn on the waterworks with my sexy voice. So I do apologize for the nose blowing, but unfortunately Marilyn Pollen says that my nose is going to run like a faucet for about a month, no matter how much allergy medicine I take. By the way, I did 2 doses of nasal spray, 12 hours apart. 2 doses of Afrin, 12 hours apart. And Zyrtec, 12 hours apart. I am loading myself up with allergy medicine, and I still sound like this.
Wow.
This is no act right here. This is pure allergy stuff we're talking to you right now.
There's no Barry White.
Going back to the whiskey real quick. This Wild Turkey 101, I've had a couple of second sips. I like it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
A little bit more spice and flavor to it, a little bit, but it's not offensive.
So even when I try something on the rocks for the first time, I'll take that sip right away before the water's had a chance to get into it, and there was some there's some burn going down, but I've had some reflux issues anyway, so that's probably just some sensitivity to it, but. The 1776 really burns going down, and it wasn't as bad as that. And then once it opened up, it pretty much went away. So,
I'm equating that first sip is like shocking the pool when you first open it in the summer or in the spring. Like it's opening up your taste buds. It's gonna taste like poo, no matter which whiskey you put down there. That first sip doesn't taste great.
Yeah,
it is what it is. I've had 2 sips of it since. It's definitely feels stronger than the others that we've had.
Okay.
Other than the Knob
It is
Creek.
101 proof, so
It is 101.
You know.
I will say this though, for 101, there's a little burn to it on the mouth, not necessarily going down, but in the mouth there's a little bit of burn. But flavor wise, I like it. Like I can see why this wins, especially if the people ranking it like higher proof whiskey.
Yeah.
Which most of these YouTube channels, they're bourbon people. Like they're probably like on Chris Sean and Jared's level as far as bourbon goes. They would probably really enjoy this.
Yeah, so it's funny, I don't mind. In fact, I like burn in the mouth.
Okay.
I don't like burn going down at all.
Correct. Yeah, I'm with you
and
there.
It's hard to find one that gives you burn in the mouth and not burn on the way down.
Yeah.
So when I do, that's kind of like my go-to. Mm-hmm. But the 1776 heavy burn both places,
all around, everywhere.
You know, it's like my dad was he was Episcopalian, and he grew up Catholic, then converted. But he always wanted to find a church that was liturgically conservative but theologically liberal. Huh. Really hard to find. So he wanted smoke 'em and soak 'em, holy water, incense, organs, vestments, all that stuff. But then he wanted the priest to be liberal like he was. So really hard to find, because it was either you got incense and holy water and vestments and a conservative clergy, or you got a liberal clergy with guitars and balloons.
Right.
No guitars, no balloons. Like, no, we're leaving. Right? So,
this ain't church.
Yeah. Like, it's like, I don't want, hi, I'm Pastor Steve, and I'm wearing, Birkenstocks, and I'm going to play you a tune. Like, no, I don't want, like, no, I want, that's, Father Tim, and there's the vestments, and there's the, but then when you go and listen to him speak, it's not like, you're going to hell for you go to hell. Yeah. So it was hard. He found a couple. Somehow he'd find them. But, yeah, so that's what the burn thing. Like, I want burn in the mouth. So I want the vestments and the incense.
Yep.
But I don't want to be told how I'm going to hell every second. So.
Yeah. I agree. I'm with you on that. I don't mind the burn in the mouth.
Yeah.
I like it a little bit lighter, though. But I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I mean, especially because, for me, after, like, that first sip, it doesn't really burn that much in the mouth. I mean, for me, it turns into flavor.
So I found when I drink it, like I sip it and hold it.
Yes.
And just kind of like let it, it's almost get that numbing, tingly, which is just what alcohol does.
Yep.
And then swallow it. And then, but if I get that like heartburn feeling, then I'm kind of done.
Yeah, for me, if I get the heartburn, that's a no-go for me.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm drinking again. So, well, all right. So, Wild Turkey 101, it's a winner for me. Probably not the everyday, but it's a winner. I drink it.
Yeah.
Hope you all enjoyed this episode. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, smash that like button wherever you're at. If you do listen to us on a podcast platform, please do follow. Follow us on the Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. Apparently, we're popular on the Insta now.
Oh, yeah?
We're getting close to that 100 followers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, getting up there. We're going to be Kim Kardashian level soon. You know what I'm saying? But no, please, we appreciate everyone that listens. And if you have a whiskey for us, leave us a comment in the comments section if you're listening where there's comments available on Rumble or YouTube or wherever. Let us know the one a whiskey or a bourbon in that $25, $30 range that you think we should try, and we'll give it a try. Thank you to Cheers to Spirits and Arnold Station. We appreciate having you guys as a sponsor. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.